Hi, I'm Jay Terrio, and this is the Experiment Podcast, a podcast where we give soul to practical and logical personal development concepts, and we give legs and feet and grounding to the mystical, the magical, and the woo-woo. This is a space where I take all of those things, the practical and the logical, the mystical and the magical, and I apply those concepts to my own life and experiment with them, all for the sake of stepping deeper into myself and aligning deeper with my true path and my highest potential. I share very raw and vulnerably the results of those experiments with you. I want to be honest with you. Today I'm having a pretty solid day. I feel in my body, I feel aware, and I feel little sprinklings of gratitude and joy. But consistently over time, the last few months, the last few years, I have felt myself and my sparkle, if you want to call it, slowly diminishing. And, the older I get, the more responsibility I have. And I'm noticing it causing me to, maybe not causing, but pushing me to disassociate and to numb and to get lost in all of the pressure of the responsibilities. And I'm forgetting how to feel joy. I've forgotten how to really, really be present in a moment of just overwhelming joy and bliss. I don't have those really ever these days. And part of what I'm experimenting with in conjunction with what we talked about last week with meeting our most basic fundamental needs is finding and building and creating pockets of joy in my life. I miss the version of myself who was spontaneous and who didn't so much care what everyone else thought, although every version of me has very much cared what everyone else has thought. But there was an iteration of me for a very short period of time before I got pregnant that was just flying. I had finally started to feel good in my body. I felt solid about the direction I was moving in my life. I knew I had a lot of things that I needed to heal and work through, but it was like I knew that I was on the up. And since getting pregnant and having my daughter, she is undoubtedly the biggest blessing in my life and my biggest and greatest teacher. But in the same way that she is my greatest teacher, it is a very dualistic experience of being a mother, of being this, feeling this overwhelming love and admiration for this person that I grew in my body that is growing. I mean, she's almost 2, but you would think she's like a teenager. She's huge. She's so tall, just like her dad. But it's just this paradox of feeling so much and feeling so overwhelmed and not knowing how to alchemize that overwhelm into joy and presence and just gratitude for the moment that is. I find myself constantly planning for the future, waiting for the next stage of our lives, hoping for that next stage to just be easier than what this is. And I'm really missing out on right now. And I think there's space for both, for me to plan for the future and look forward to the future, but still be here now. And I want to reinvigorate that. And today's episode is all about some experiments I'm running to find and co-create joy again in my day-to-day life. This general numbness that I feel, it's not that I'm lazy, it's not that I don't want to feel better. I fully know that it's my nervous system trying to protect me, right? At the end of the day, real life is still happening. I'm still dealing with very real financial struggles. Also still very much dealing with like learning my partnership and stepping into motherhood and juggling the endless balls of life, like work and the house and everything else. And in a way, the mindset is telling me that there's no extra space for joy right now. But what I know to be certain is that joy is the best way through this. It is what is going to keep me pushing and propelling and moving forward. I used to light candles just about every night, all around my house, like big, long candlesticks. I'd listen to music anytime I got in the car. If you've ever been in a car with me, you know that I'm a music snob and I want to listen to what I want to listen to. And it's usually not up for debate. I like my music. I want to jam. I want to sing. I want to cry in the car. Like I want to do the things. I really like romanticize simple things on purpose. And the other day, as I was driving my daughter to daycare in a completely silent car, it kind of hit me that I'm in a rut and I've lost a lot of that sparkle. And I'm running this experiment not because I want to just feel better, but because I want to feel alive again. I want to feel connected with my life and with the people in my life. I want to remember joy right here, right now, with all of the real things happening. I've had a preconceived idea of what joy was my whole life, that joy means everything is perfect and there aren't money issues, there aren't relationship issues, like there aren't issues. You're just in a state of bliss and things are solid and good. And I think to some level, yeah, that type of joy may exist. But I think the flip side of that is joy is a connection to the present moment and a choosing to be grateful and to feel that aliveness, to feel grateful for our existence and to be in a romantic partnership with the universe itself. I used to think that I had to wait for all the dust to settle to feel joy. But what I'm starting to realize is joy is a part of the settling. Joy is a part of the survival. Like we get to have that too. With this experiment, I am not chasing joy. I am simply inviting it in very small ways, while everything else around me is still unresolved. And for me, that might look like playing one song in the morning and wiggling my body to it, or making a meal look beautiful, even if it's simple, or even a frozen meal. I love like an aesthetic plate of food. Something about that just does something to me. Or putting something soft and comfortable in my body and acknowledging that softness and that comfort. And like letting myself say like, this feels good on my body. Sometimes inviting that joy in might look like crying, letting myself cry and letting myself be grateful that I live in a world where I can just cry when I need to cry. Or even paying my bills with flowers on the table and candles lit and music playing. And I'm not doing this or inviting this joy in to fix anything. I'm doing it because it reminds me that I have access to more beauty than I allow myself to realize. If you're in this too, I hope you know that there is no shame in the struggle. We're all human. We're all trying our best. And this human existence is hard. And I think to some level it's supposed to be hard. There's like supposedly lessons we're supposed to learn while we're here. I don't know. But maybe if you are drowning in bills, or if you're unsure if your relationship is going to last, if you're feeling tired of trying to keep it all together and joy feels unreachable, I hope that this can be a reminder. You don't have to feel good to reach for joy. You don't have to be healed to create one beautiful moment. And you don't need a perfect life to remember that you are alive inside of it. and you are allowed to tap in and touch and love everything around you whenever you want. I live a very beautiful life, and I am so very blessed. But it's also okay for me to admit that in some ways, I'm also just not okay right now. And I'm also not where I want to be. But I am here, and I am still reaching, and that's enough. I'm making room for beauty in the grief and the uncertainty. I'm making room for joy in the debt and in the uncertainty. I'm making room for aliveness in my everyday, mundane, relatively routine life. That's my experiment right now. Cultivating little pockets of joy in everything that I'm doing. Building awareness and presence around it. And finding a sense of gratitude that I get to be here and that I get to live this life. I hope that if you are feeling or struggling with joy and aliveness, that you take a deep breath, you roll your shoulders back, you sit up straight, put your hand on your heart, and you remember that you are worthy and deserving of love and joy, and you are on the way to the life that your soul is craving for. Thank you for showing up. I hope that this just inspires you even just a little bit to take some ownership, take control, and find a way to build some awareness and show up in your life with maybe a new lens, maybe a new perspective, even if it's just one moment out of the day. Every little moment counts. Please follow the podcast on Instagram at Experiment Pod with Jade. Same thing on YouTube, Experiment Pod with Jade. And if you don't mind, I would love it if you could like, subscribe, all the things, especially on Spotify. If you could rate me and leave a review, feel free to reach out on Instagram with some feedback, and I will do my best to get back to you. Thank you, and I love you.